Looky, looky, brand new product just came out today, and it is called Red Heart All-in-One Flower Power. Very similar to Red Heart All-in-One Granny Square, but this time it now forms a flower in the center. You can see some pretty cool ideas. The whole concept of this yarn is to no longer do the color switching and just keep on stitching, and therefore the product, as you're working its way through, will automatically change color at the correct time so that you can keep on going. So if you look at the ball, you see a little bit of one color, that's the center, and then it just keeps on going and going. So whether you make it for a jacket, for a pants, for shorts, for Afghans, for whatever you would like to do, this is a great product. So we're gonna warm up, we're gonna grab some tea, come on into the studio, let me show you how this yarn works. And this is the Red Heart All-in-One Flower Power. So here we have the original product, Red Heart All-in-One Granny Square, and this made granny squares. And this one here made one ball equals 14 squares. You're going to notice a difference in the other one. The yardage and the weight are the same thing. However, the number of squares that you can get out of the new one are going to be less because they've addressed an issue that I thought was an issue, and I really like that they did that. So let's go take a look at that. They provided on the final color to have extra yarn so that you can use that yarn in order to attach it to other things. So when I look at the square that I created, you can see all of this extra yarn is being used so that you can attach it to your neighboring, where the original one you always had to have a secondary yarn in order to do it. So here's the square that you're going to be able to make. I actually have blocked this already, so that's why it's sitting nice and flat. But I found the difference of this one is that it was less stressful for me because once I got beyond the white here, so there's only 3 colors, is that I could just sit back and relax and do the final rounds in the final color here. So there's only 3 colors. And because of that, I found this one to be a lot more relaxing than the other one. Like Red Heart Super Saver being a recommendation of 5.5mm size crochet hook, you do need to do a gauge check, and we'll do that at the very beginning. So with the other yarn of the Red Heart All-in-One Granny Square, I used a 4.5mm size G crochet hook, but with this one here, and it could be my attitude as well, or just that I'm more easier about it, is that I had to increase to a 5mm size H. Yes, it's lower, but what I have done is that I determined right at the very beginning of what size this is going to be. So I did start off with a 4.5, and then I ripped it out, and then I did a 5. Did I do the whole square? No. All I had to do was determine the first circle in order to get to the size of the crochet hook that I needed. In the video description, you're going to find the written words as well as this crochet diagram to be able to see that, and it's a link. And you'll be able to print either or to be able to do it. I like this, and it's really quite fun. So rounds 1 will be the first color, and you can tell in the ball what color that will be because the picture on the front here will show you that the first color was yellow, the next one's white, in this case it's gray. So you'll see that quite easily. The next 2 rounds, number 2 and 3, will be the flower, and then 4, 5, and 6 will be the exterior to form the flower power. Another tip I would have for you is that I would kind of pull out a section of the yarn. We know that yellow is the very beginning, and so what I'm going to do is just pull out something like this so that I get a good sense of where the yarn is going to finish in my hands, so that if I have to loosen up the yarn in order to get that transition to hit, I can see it. If I have to go a little bit tighter in order to get that transition, again, I can see it. The other thing here is that your crochet tension really does matter, and you can alter things quite easily with this. And once you get used to this concept, your hands and your hook will go in sync with each other to make it easier. But the first time that you try may be a little difficult. The other thing that I would also recommend is that when it comes out of the yarn ball, make sure that it's easily being pulled out. If it's too tight, it changes the length of the yarn just slightly, and that can also change the way that it will go into your project. So make sure it's nice and easy coming out of the ball. So we want to make sure that the slip knot is 4 inches away. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the slip knot has to be approximately right here. So what I'm going to do is just create a slip knot roughly around there, and then give it a measurement and see where it's going to go. And I'm going to use the recommendation of 5.5 to show you that my tension is not the same as the product, so I have to adjust my hands in order or adjust the hook in order to make it happen. So I want to make sure that it's about approximately 4 inches, and you can see that it's not. Okay, so I have 1, 2, and approximately a half. So I have to make sure that hits 4 inches. So I want to leave this in the tutorial just to give you an idea of approximately how you're going to do it. So we're going to just measure again. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, just ignore the numbers on here. It's just because this is buried. So that's where we're going to start, and I want to show you the first round and determine if we're going to be using this hook, or we're going to switch down or increase depending on you. So here is just the yellow until it changes color. So this is all I have to play with, and I want to keep an eye on that off camera so that I can do it. So we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to slip stitch into the very beginning. We're now going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to put 9 double crochets into the center of the ring. So different size crochet hooks for me creates a different tension. So we'll count those out. So I'm going to count the first one as 1. So the chain 3 is 1, 2, and I need a total of 10. So we have 3, 4, 9, and I have not done 10, and I've already run out of yarn. So this means that my tension with the recommended crochet hook is not the same. So this means that this hook of 5.5 millimeter is out for me. So in order to get the transition to be faster, I have to reduce the hook. So reduce the hook to one size, and in my case, I went down to a 5 millimeter size H. And when you rip it out, only rip it out until you get to the stitch, or to the beginning slip stitch, or the slip knot that you started. Okay, so I want to get to the very beginning, because we know that that's 4 inches from the very beginning. Okay, and now we're going to put our hook in, tighten it. So the shaft distance of the perimeter around is smaller than this one, therefore we use less millimeters per stitch. So we're going to try again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slip stitch to the beginning. And then there you go. So when I went to 4.5, what happened was that I was left with yarn before the transition was done, and therefore there was too much yarn left over. So that's how I got a 5. So now we're going to chain 3. That counts as 1 of 10, and then in the center ring we're going to place in 9 more double crochet. So I'm going to keep an eye on where that transition is. So that's 2. So the chain 3 plus the double crochet equals 1. So we have chain 3 is 1, 2, 3, and we need 10. So we have 4, and then we have 1 more. 10. See? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to slip stitch with that to start our color. And we have the new color ready to go for round number 2. Let's begin that process next. So I went ahead and I pulled out the white section before the transition to the last color, again, so I can see it. We're going to start in round number 2 is nice and easy, and we're going to chain 3. Try to keep the same tension that you just did in the first one. It will make your life a lot easier. And in the same one of the join, you're going to place in 2 double crochet. So you won't know at the end of the round, on this round here, because white goes for 2 rounds, if you are being too loose or too tight. So just go with it, just with what you think. So it's within each of the stitches going all the way around, you're going to place in 2 double crochet. So just relax, go with it, and see how it goes, because you can alter the tension in the next round if it's not hitting the transition perfectly. So you got 2 there, so there's only 10 groups of 2 double crochet in each. So I found with myself, if the yarn is coming out of the ball and I can't see where that transition is, I get stressed. So by pulling out the color that I'm currently using so I can see it all, I just find my journey is a lot easier on my mental state. So I'm just placing 2 into each stitch. When you come all the way around, you just got to watch that very first one that you're not putting an extra stitch in there. So there's going to be 10 groups of 2. And when you do a round like this, there always appears to be a gap like this, and that is not a stitch at all. It's just part of the first one here. So make sure there's 10 groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you're going to slip stitch to the top of the first. And we're going to carry that color and move on to round number 3. Round number 3, we're now going to create petals. And so we are going to start by chaining 3. So 1, 2, 3, and in the same one of the join, you are going to apply a treble. So wrap that hook twice and do a treble. In the next one here, you're going to apply 3 trebles. So wrap in the hook twice and put 3 trebles into into that one stitch. So 3 trebles into one. There's only a total of 5 petals on the flower power. In the next one, we are going to apply 2 different stitches. The first one will be a treble, and then the next one will be a double crochet. And that's 1 petal done. And all you're just going to do then is slip stitch into the next stitch, and that will hold that down. And then you're going to restart again. So in the next one, there's going to be a double crochet, a treble, and then in the next one there's going to be 3 trebles. So this is technically the second time I've ever made a square, just so you're aware of that. So we'll see how it goes, because I learned on the first time around. So the first time you ever do it, you may struggle a bit. So just in case that you're thinking everybody gets it the first time, they don't, including myself. So then the next one is 1 treble, and then 1 double. Okay. Then the next one is a slip stitch, and so 2 petals are now done, and so we'll start again. So we're going to start with a double crochet into the next one, and then a treble will share that same stitch. The next one has 3 trebles. Okay, and then the next one has 1 treble first, and then 1 double. So there's another petal done, and so then slip stitch, and we're getting closer to the transition. I'm going to keep on going, hope for the best, and we're going to do a double and then a treble into the same one. So I don't want to overreact by flipping out the transition. I'm not going to hit it. I want to just keep on going with my natural process so that I can see, if anything, if I need to adjust. But as I promised you, the third color is just a breeze to get through because there's lots of extra yarn left over. Okay. The next one is going to be a treble and a double. Okay, the transition's coming up soon. So we're going to slip stitch and do the final petal and see how we are going to make out. So the first one is a double and a treble into the same stitch. The next one has 3 trebles into it. Well, that transition's getting close. Okay, the next one has a treble first and a double into the same one. Oh my God. So I am so close. So I have to do a slip stitch into the next, and then I have to attach it. But the red has changed just before I want it to change. So this here is so funny because it's my second time ever doing this. I am so close. So what I want to do is that I want to, it's not very much distance that I need. I'm going to pull out until I get to the 3 trebles here. And you know how I can get a little bit more space? I can just be a little bit tighter. So now I'm just coming back and I'm just going to treble the 3. And I'm just trying to get my tension right so that the transition hits perfectly. So this takes a bit of practice. So if you're not getting it all the way perfectly, then just keep playing with it. So if I'm too loose at the beginning of this color and I have extra left over, it becomes a real problem. So you want to adjust it right at the very end if you need to. So then there's going to be a treble into this one, and then a double. And there is my transitioning happening. So I have my slip stitch, and when I do a slip stitch to the top of the first one, the red color should be the one that comes up. And there we go. So just play with that, and now the remaining of the square is going to be very easy to do. So because there's extra yarn left over at the end of this, you can relax and do 4, 5, and 6 with the final color. Make sure that this is ready to go though. And so you're going to chain 3, so 1, 2, 3, and everything is going to get something. So the next one will be a double crochet. The next one will be a half double crochet. And then the middle one of the petal that you see there is always going to be a single crochet. So in order to get and go in the dips, the next one is going to be a half double crochet, so it has to be a little bit taller. And then the next 2 are each going to be a double crochet. So we're making this completely round, filling in the jumping down space. So now we're going to do a treble way down here. Okay, and when you wrap the hook twice, you go here where that slip stitch was, and you just let it carry over the top, and that really defines that petal nicely. Starting in the next 2, they're each going to be a double crochet. And then we need to get a little bit smaller, so the next one has to be a half. And then the middle one of the grouping of 3 that's next always has to be a single crochet in this case. So now we're going to get bigger. We're going to do a half, and then 2 double crochets in a row. And then we have to jump down again right here for a treble. Okay, then we start again. So 2 doubles in a row. Get smaller, so we're doing a half. The middle one here is a single, so it gives you orientation of where you should be. The next one is a half, and the next 2 are double crochet again. And then you're going to jump down and do a treble into that where that slip stitch was. Okay, the next 2 are a double crochet. The next one is a half. The next one is a single, and then a half, and then 2 double crochet again. So every petal is basically the same orientation. And then you're going to jump down and do that treble. So wrap that hook twice, go into the slip knot or slip stitch. Start with the next 2, a double crochet. Get smaller, you're going to do a half. Okay, you're going to do a single, in the next, which is the middle one of that petal, and then you get bigger again so a half, and then 2 doubles, and that's not your last stitch. The last one will be a treble into the slip stitch below, and that will complete that, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next. So you might see it buckling up like this. That's because it's got a bit of tension to it, but this is why you block it. So you just spray it with a little bit of water at the end of the project and just lay it flat and just kind of just shape it and lay it flat and let air dry. Don't soak it, just spray it. So let's begin round number 5. Round number 5, you are going to start off with a treble and a chain 2 space, but right where we're sitting, we need to do that all in one. So we need to chain 4 first. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's classified as a treble, and then 5 and 6 is going to be a chain 2 space that we'll lean over. In the same stitch that you're coming out of here, you're going to apply a treble. Okay. The next one is going to have 2 double crochets in it. And what we're doing is we're converting to a granny square at this point. We chain 1. We do not skip anything on this next stitch. We go right into the next one, and we're going to apply a double crochet, a half, and then a single. Okay, so you're going to see a flat edge appearing. Do not worry, because this is 5 petals and we're going into 4 squares, where this is landing will not be the same as you're going around. So you got to just trust the numbers. So now you're going to chain 1, and this is the only time you're ever going to skip a stitch, is going to be the next one, and you go right into the next one, and then you're going to single crochet, and then the next one is going to be a half, and then the next one is a double crochet. The next one, before you proceed there, it's going to be a chain 1 first. So you're creating these chain 1 spaces that you'll use in the future, and you'll go right into the next one, and in the next one is going to be 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And then the next stitch is your corner. So you'll start off with a treble first, chain 2, and then a treble into the same stitch. And there is the next corner that you have. So let's do another side together. Starting in the very next stitch, you will do 2 double crochets into the same one. Chain 1, do not skip a stitch here, but just in the next stitch available, you're going to apply 1 double crochet, and then the next one is a half, and then the next one is a single. Chain 1, and this is the only time you're going to skip, is in the middle of the side. So you skip the next one and single into the next, half double crochet into the next one, and then double crochet into the next one after that. Chain 1, and in the very next stitch you were going to apply 2 double crochet, and then in the very next stitch, it's going to be your new corner. So it'll be a treble, chain 2, and a treble. The next stitch is going to be 2 double crochet. Chain 1, do not skip a stitch, and in the next stitch, just place in 1 double crochet. The next one is a half, and the next one is a single. Chain 1, you're now going to skip the stitch that's in the middle of the side, so skip it, and then on the next one, it's going to be a single, and then a double, a single, then a half, and then the next one is a double. Chain 1, do not skip a stitch, and in the next stitch you're going to apply 2 double crochet. The next one is your next corner, so it's going to be a treble. Chain 2 and a treble into the same stitch. Okay, the next one is 2 double crochet, so we're on another side happening. Okay, you're going to chain 1 to create a space. Do not skip a stitch, and you're going to place in a double crochet, and then the next one will be a half, and the next one is a single. It's the middle of the side, so you will chain 1, you will skip 1, and then you'll single on the next side of that, on the other side of that. Okay, the next one is going to be a half double crochet. The next one is a double crochet. And the very last stitch before the corner started is going to be you got to make sure you chain 1, and then in this one here, it's going to be 2 double crochet into the same one. And then you're just going to slip stitch it to the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, and go to the 4th and slip stitch. And that will complete this round. This is number 5. You can see that it went down into a square, and now the very final is ready to go. The very final round, here we go. We're going to slip stitch ourselves to the next chain 2 space to get ourselves oriented, and you're going to chain 2. That chain 2 will not count as a stitch, it's a filler. And you will half double crochet into the same space, and we'll finish this corner when we come back around. You're now going to chain 3 to turn the corner, and then put in 3 half double crochet into the same corner. So technically all the corners have 3 half double crochets, chain 3, 3 half double crochet, but we'll finish this one when we come back around. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to go to the next chain 1 space, so there's always going to be 3 stitches between each of those spaces. So we're going to jump those 3, and we're going to apply 3 half double crochet. Chain 1, go to the next chain 1 space, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, go to the next chain 1 space, 3 half double crochet. Chain 1, and now the corner is next. So it's going to be 3 half double crochet first, chain 3, and 3 half double crochet. Okay, chain 1, and we come to the next chain 1 space here, 3 half double crochet, so we're moving down a side again. Chain 1, the next space, so really this final edge is not a big deal. Chain 3, come to the next chain 1 space, 3 half double crochet, chain 1. Okay, next one is the corner, so there's 3 half double crochet, chain 3 to turn the corner, and 3 half double crochet. Okay, and then chain 1, go to the next chain 1 space, 3 half double crochet, chain 1, 3 half double crochet. That's in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, 3 half double crochet in the next space, chain 1, and then you're corner again, so it's 3 half double crochet, chain 3, 3 half double crochet. So off camera, I'm looking at how much yardage is left over. There's still plenty. I'm not worried at all, which I'm really grateful for, to be honest with you. It was a good decision by Yarnspirations. So chain 1 and put in 3 half double crochet into the next space. Chain 1, 3 half double crochet into the next space. Chain 1, 3 half double crochet into the next space. Okay, so I got lots of yardage left. Chain 1, and I'm going to finish this corner. So there's technically only 1 half double crochet in there because the chain 2 is just a filler. So just apply 2 half double crochet and then slip stitch it to the top of the first half double crochet that you started with, and that will complete that. So then all you're just going to do is just take your yarn and you're going to trim it. And I would trim it just before the yellow starts. And if you recall that when I started this, I had this yarn left over. I went over top of the straggler. So even if the red was there, you're never going to see it. And then you're just going to trim that out in order for that to happen. So you can just safely trim that out. And then I would trim this, as I mentioned, just before the yellow starts, and therefore you have this to play with. And then your next slip knot starts 4 inches away from this transition, right when it goes from this color into the new color here. And as I mentioned, you can block your project if you would like to. If you go to the video description, there is going to be information on how you can attach these with a flat stitch join, and I will have that all ready for you. And then you can see then these would be quite awesome to do. And this is a Flower Power square using Red Heart all-in-one Flower Power yarn.